Yes, now, and welcome back to episode 135 of the Top Load podcast. And this week is going to be a bite sized episode of me talking through the latest UEFA Women's Champions League Chrome release, my thoughts and personal feelings on the current situation in the UK hobby, and a few other little bits, but it's not going to be the biggest of episodes this week. However, before I do get into talking about all of my thoughts, feelings, and obviously Chrome itself, massive thanks to the guys over at Third Downs UK for sponsoring this episode of the Top Loaded podcast. Whether you need card supplies, custom card stands, grade preparation kits, whatever it may be, head over to their Instagram, check the link in our bio, or head over to their website and use the code TTP10. That's TTP10 for 10% off all your hobby needs. And there'll be no other place for me to start this week than UEFA Women's Champions League Chrome 23-24. And some people might be saying, I haven't really seen much of it in the UK. You're right, there hasn't been much ripped at all. To my personal knowledge of what I've seen, Dub Break's been doing cases. A few other breakers have also been doing cases, and a few of the guys over on Whatnot as well. Is it a product that's going to make you a load of money from a breaking perspective? No, it will not do. Most breaks that I've been seeing have been very much struggling to sell out with the higher price spots or even some of the lower end spots. But I feel like now people are seeing the set a lot more. It's slowly being all right to break, especially the guys over at Dub Breaks have been ripping quite a few cases. And that's why I'm very happy to announce this Saturday coming along, I will be breaking with the guys at Third Down with Dub Breaks. A massive free case of Women's Chrome. I cannot wait to be opening it up. I haven't had first-hand experience with the cards yet. I have my first lot of break results, which come in today from the fantastic guys out at Football Cards Direct, and I'll be showing them off in a minute for anyone who hasn't seen Women's Chrome. So my early thoughts, don't think it helped that release day was kind of pushed back for the UK. It was meant to be last Wednesday, and most stock arrived into the UK. Guess what? Not even yet. So Topps only received part allocation, I'm led to believe, from the US side. So that's already a bit of a bummer for the UK side of it. But few cases have come out with breakers. Footballcast Direct did have their first case in the UK, which was on Wednesday and Whatnot. And then a few of the guys have been breaking it since Thursday. Is it a good product? Yes and no. I'm going to start with the reasons for yes. It's always good to start with the good side. I think the cards look aesthetically very pleasing this year. There's some lovely inserts. The Queens of Football look very nice. Patch autos for the first time ever are absolutely incredible. They are such an SSP card as well. I'm led to believe it's to 5 and less. Incredible. If you haven't seen them, go and check them out. Absolutely brilliant cards. Dual autos again, absolutely lovely. There's a new parallel this year, the Roman numerals, which is number to 11. Looks absolutely great. It's not some people's cup of tea, but I'm a massive fan of it. And the lower print stuff as well is great. I will talk about some other good things after this, but as anything, there's always bad sides. For everyone knows Chrome now, you have glorified base cards of these to 299 cards. The purple cards, which I managed to hit a couple of, are glorified base cards. They're not going to go for anything unless it's a top player, maybe more than 2-3 quid. But there's another massive, massive problem with this year's Women's Chrome. The correlation of packs and boxes, cases is dreadful. Obviously, sometimes if you've got a spot in a break, you're not going to be complaining. For example, like myself, I had Dragoni, one of the rookies for Barcelona, in a case. I hit 3 of all autos. I've seen 3 Wendy Ronaldo autos. I've seen 3 Lissoma, 3 Hegerberg. If you hit once, you've got a much better chances of hitting for a second or third time. In my personal eyes, that should not be the case. It should be a case of every single card has the same amount of chance of fitting in the same case, and it's just not the case this year. The amount of times that I've seen, I probably watched 20 to 30 cases be opened. In every single one of those cases, there is a pattern of certain players hitting 2 or 3 numbered cards. It's a good thing if you've got that spot, but it's a bummer if you're in the break. For example, for myself, obviously, as we always say, especially here at the podcast, if you are breaking, it is a risk. It is a massive risk. For example, for myself, I'm chasing Rosa Kafaji in this year's Chrome, who is a rookie for Hacken. Well, And because she's a rookie for them, I'm naturally chasing another player for them as well, Felicity Schroeder. I have had hacking in probably about 5 cases, if not 6 cases now. I've hit 6 numbered cards. You got to think in every box, there's 3 to 4 numbered. So even taken in the worst situation, there is 3 numbered cards per case. Per box. So that's about 36 to 40 number cards per case. 5 cases, that's 200 number cards. Before people say, yes, I know that law of averages, it's a possibility chance, but surely if you're opening up a case of product, you should be able to get more than 1 number. If you've got Barcelona, you're hitting probably 10 to 15 numbered cards. Yes, Hacken have only got 4 players in the checklist, but it's very downheartening when you just don't hit in cases. I've seen it the same for Rosengard, another team who's a smaller one in it, but I've also seen it for some big teams. I've seen cases where there's not even been a Bayern Munich player or a Lyon player, and then I'll flip it over. There was a case break last night, and there was probably 20 numbered autos or base cards of FC Bayern Munich. So the correlation is a massive issue this year. For anyone who's watched them, I've been talking to a lot of people about this. It is the same faces. Obviously, you're going to get lucky. For example, I picked up Linda Caicedo, one of the more expensive players, and I took a risk on it, and it paid off. I hit 2 of her autos in one case. I hit an Inferno to 75 and a Rose Gold to 125. So it obviously has the benefits of it that side. However, there is some slight issue of QC. On a whole, I think it is quite good. However, I've noticed on one of my cards, there's edge peeling. Obviously, that absolutely plagued the first F1 Chrome. So I don't know if that's just a unique error with this card, which is such a shame because it's a very good card. So I don't know. I'm going to speak to other people to see if they're having issues. But for context, as of recording this now, which we are 5 days, bordering 6 days after release of Women's Chrome, these boxes are still available on the Topps website. £120. All right, you're guaranteed a auto. You're guaranteed about 3 to 4 numbered cards. I don't think Women's Chrome should be priced over £100, personally speaking. I think that the sweet spot probably would have been £90, maybe 85, £90. The odds of you making your money back on a box, and we say this with every release now, and it is a massive Fanatics problem, Panini problem, Futera, whoever it is making the boxes of, you're not gonna all right, some people were gonna hit a Bonmati, or in a men's they're gonna hit a Lamine Yamal. But on a whole, you are not making your money back. And that is such a big issue because it kills the aspect of every single person. 95% of people in this hobby will love to rip product. They would love to open a box, take a gamble, see what they can hit. Just a bit of fun. But there's fun, and then there's just borderline stupidity now, because if I'm looking at Women's Chrome and I've already seen some to 5s that I would be interested in buying for people that IPC, going up for 75 quid. The odds of you hitting a to 5 in that box is probably in the thousands of packs. So the risk always should outweigh the reward. But obviously, we'd love the reward to outweigh the risk, but the risk is massively in the favour now. And for Women's Chrome, if people are breaking these boxes, obviously some people might get them for cheaper. I do not know. If people are breaking these boxes at £120 each, over a case, you're looking at about £1,400 with packaging. Put your time on there as well. Say £1,500. I find it very hard that near enough anyone is making money on that price. It is such a hard product to make your money on, not just for the consumer, but for the breaker as well. And that's why I believe we are not seeing much of it ripped in the UK. Even in the US, Sunday League investors have had some brilliant streams of 5 cases, 3 cases, 2 cases, but even they struggle to sell 20% of their spots. They have to do some spots at 40, 50% off. I was in a Football Cards Direct stream the other day, and they was doing a half caser, and it was sad to see that normally a Portea spot would probably be for a case 120 to £140. In a six boxer, Proteus on bid went for £16. That that could be part down to demand. It could be there's a lot of other extenuating factors, but we're not going to go too much into that. So that's what I want to talk about next about the overall state of the UK hobby. So Women's Chrome is a great one. I'm going to show off a few cards here. Some people might not have seen any of the cards from the set. I will be uploading some of these onto my Instagram. But this is just a quick one just to so people can see what Chrome looks like. So the base design is lovely. It's a lovely design. These are the numbered autos, lovely green. That's to 150. This was the big hit for me personally. This was from Football Cards Direct as well. Number to 5 Dragoni auto. And then we have some of the other cards in the set, which is Queens of Football auto, which is a stunning card, number to 199. Rose golds this year look absolutely incredible. That's the purple purple numbered card. Blue Mojos, pink prisms, obviously another blue mojo there, another purple base card, and then the Infernos are probably the best looking parallel near enough that I've seen so far in hand. It's a fantastic set. I'd love to see more of it. I will be picking up some bits. The prices are not going to be as much as last year's, the players I collect. It is a good release, but it's waiting to see more of it. And it's going to be very intriguing when Sapphire does launch as well, what they do with that. But now moving away from Women's Chrome, and I want to just talk about the UK hobby because I don't know if people will out there agree with me. If you do, drop me a message via the podcast or even by the username on the screen, RP Trading Cards. Because there's a question I want to ask most people, and I've been starting to talk to people about this of, are people losing interest in the hobby in the UK? For me, partly, yes. I will admit it. I think it's very hard for anyone to keep 100% committed into a hobby. Obviously, at the end of the day, it is a release from everyday life. And for me, now narrowing my PC down to the women's side of it, maybe the odd Arsenal men's card here and there, but it's I probably bought 3 men's cards in 5 months. It's one of them now that Women's Chrome is the premier release for me. And even after a week, I am interested in it, but it's not got quite that same factor for me of it's very hard to get excited by a lot of things at the moment, that is. Obviously, we don't know what's coming with Fanatics when they start merging and going big in Europe, hopefully. But I feel Panini, not as much because they haven't really released much, despite Impeccable, Immaculate, and a few other sets on the horizon. It's becoming such a interesting environment, the hobby in the UK, that I feel card prices at a very low point. I've been seeing some, obviously, don't get me wrong, people still say, yeah, but this card went for this. These are outliers. These are 1 in 1,000 cards. A lot of cards are going for a lot cheaper now. Don't get. I still think the number one thing about the UK hobby is the community. The card shows are fantastic as well, which is always great. One, obviously, it is card show season again. We've got Kev's obviously for us and a few of the other guys down in Brighton show coming up in a couple of weeks, and obviously in about a month's time from now, it's the London Card Show back at Sandown. They are great. They are fantastic. That's what I look forward to. But then in my head, I do ask myself, am I looking forward to the cards or am I looking forward to the social aspect? And it is always the social aspect. I don't know if it's just personally me being in the hobby now for about 6-7 years that I need to find something that really rekindles the passion. Obviously, it is women's cards, and I'm working on something in the background about trying to get more involved within the women's scene. By the way, if anyone is not in, if you're interested in women's cards or want to get to know women's cards more, please join the women's Discord. Drop me a message, and I will send you the link. It's an absolute fantastic Discord server. It has near enough all of the big players in the women's scene. It's such a good community, always helping each other out. If you want to learn about the cards, head over to that. But for me, I'm looking, and recently, I think the 2 things that have really saved me in potentially even not leaving the hobby altogether, but really saying back a step. It's funny enough, it's Women's Chrome, but cricket ECB set when it come out, and also the Tops Now Olympics ones, because I enjoy that chase of it. I think no doubt when the WSL sticker book comes out next month, that will rekindle a part of that. But I feel like a lot of people I've spoke to is they're not taking a backward step, but obviously life is busy. Life is getting more expensive. That people can't lay out hundreds of pounds each month to buy the cars they want. Obviously, some people are very lucky enough to have made it a business, and congratulations to them. And it's like I think we see it quite a lot now. And what I think as well is a massive thing for getting people still interested in the hobby is the guys on YouTube, the guys doing podcasts, whoever it may be. The content creators are really keeping people into the hobby. I know Dan, obviously, everyone. I think one of the best YouTubers for cards in the UK. Is doing an absolute fantastic job at it. Fantastic content. I know Jojo JMS as well, doing some fantastic videos. The Royal Toro as well. And I'm not just saying them three, but these three are the main ones that I do watch. But there's a load more out there doing fantastic content. And even when I look at the US side, and I think it's always quite intriguing to compare. Not it's hard to compare the UK to the US, just sheer quantity, the people. But even in the US, it's just I think it might be the soccer market in general is a very volatile place. It is a collector's market for us over here. There's so many good cards in the UK, and I think people do forget that. But we're all collectors, and sometimes I feel like we need some more events. Sometimes, if it's trade nights, whether it's a get together where you do show off your cards. I love being able to take taking cards down and show people because some people might want to see it. I have a case full of women's cards here. I'd love to take them to an event and like show them off, get people talking, get people looking through it, and that's something that I want to try and work on in the future, down the line. Maybe not this next London card show. If I'm able to do the next first one in next year, I might take my women's cards down and kind of try and be more of an educational table, but have some bits to sell as well. But going back to the UK's part of it, and I've got to say, I think we're getting now that there's certain, obviously the businesses there. I think they're quite all of the big players quite set out now that you've got your breakers, you've got your resellers, you've got companies dealing with suppliers like Third Down, you've got middlemen services for PSA like Subcenter who are fantastic. Um, Gradings are now available. Everything is now more available in the UK, which is fantastic. However, are we in a better position, same position to this time last year? And I would say it might be controversial to some people. Some people might disagree. If you do, drop me a message. I would love to have a conversation with you. I feel the UK is in a worse position now, not because of the people in it, not because of the card shows, nothing because of that. It's the companies. It is the Fanatics and it's Panini. I don't want to. It sounds like a rant. It sounds like I'm saying, but I think it's true. These companies need to realize that the amount of mass product they're throwing out there, it's diluting the scene. People are giving up on certain sets. There's some sets are releasing. It's 150, £200 a box, and the cards I'm seeing go for golds go for £5, £10, and it's one of them that we're in such a situation at the moment. It's I know people say it's a thing of business there. You try and get your competitor out the scene, you try and price them out, you flood them out. But please, these companies went through it in the 80s and 90s with the junk wax era for baseball, basketball, where there was millions of cards printed. There's still now containers full of the cards which could never be sold. Please don't go into that. We love, and I would say if you look at the sets that do really well, Obsidian, fantastic set, 7 cards per box. Even the base cards are numbered. People love that. When you're going through cases and cases of cards and you've got, say, for example, 50 cards per box, you're opening 10 boxes per case, that's 500 cards. There might be 20 hits. You don't need 400 base cards. You just don't need it. So why not dilute the base cards down? Put some of the lower number, make it harder to hit. I think if we look back to like the 2019-20 products, the prison boxes which had the green on them, for example, the original Chronicles, these sets were fantastic because it was hard to hit. And if you did hit, it was worth it. Remember the sets where the highest number in was 199, some of them 149. Fantastic. I would love to go back to it, but it is a business at the end of the day, and they're going to want to make most amount possible. So moving on from Fanatics and of another interesting one is I've started seeing obviously a few more streams of them in America. Obviously, it hasn't quite transcended over to here yet. But obviously, Whatnot is still the only real player within the UK. eBay Live, we're waiting on more information about that. Fanatics Live launching in the UK, we're still waiting to hear about that. However, Whatnot is a very intriguing place. I've got to say a shout out to one person who I was in their massive live stream today. It might even still be going at the time of recording. DGen is doing a fantastic job over at Whatnot, and there's some really good Whatnot streamers out there. I know a few people now are breaking on TikTok Live. People might say I'm a boomer or anything. I don't have TikTok, so I can't comment on that one. So people might be saying, actually, you know what? This is where the place to be. It's actually really good on there. But Whatnot, DJ's doing a fantastic job with like his singles and consignments. But breaks are another very intriguing part of it. And is it down to Whatnot just allowing anyone on? Yet again, if I'm a business and I'm taking percentage of everything, I'd probably let the most amount of people on. But it gets to a point where, and I was watching it very carefully for Marvel Chrome when it got released, of how many people will be breaking that set on release on Whatnot. And it wasn't as diluted as some of the men's product because I did actually count when men's UCC Chrome come out. And at one point, there was 18 people streaming at the same time in the UK on hobby box breaks. And how are people meant to compete against each other? Because you're going to get someone come in who's been offered 30 days free, no selling fees. But then you've got companies and breakers and businesses on there that have been on there for years and may have 7-8%. But they're not going to be able to undercut the guy who comes in with zero fees. There needs to be something done with their schedule, whether it's only a certain amount of people are going to be able to go live at a certain amount of time, or something's got to be done because there's so much traffic on that app. But it does feel like when Vogt was going out, like leaving the UK, when Whatnot was first emerged, it kind of seems like it's that thing that I don't think Whatnot really learned from Vogt and their errors along the lines of you get so many people just on Whatnot to enter the free giveaways. That's all they're on there for. You see it. Someone runs a giveaway, there's 35, 40 people. You finish the giveaway, there's 10 people. And with the rules under Whatnot, which I'm not sure if people do know or not, if you start a break on Whatnot and selling spots, you have to finish it. So if there's no one in the stream, you're going to be losing money. So something needs to be done, and it's impossible to get like an independent regulator. That would be the ideal situation in the UK. If you could get independent regulator that everyone had to submit their breaks through, and it was like a timetable allocated on Whatnot. Right, you have to break from 6 to 7. You're 7 to 8. Oh, wait a minute. There's 4 people breaking this product. You're gonna have to go at a separate time. That would help. However, you're just never gonna get it. And I think with Whatnot, it's going to be very intriguing. I'm actually really looking forward to when Fanatics Live and eBay Live go live. See what happens because eBay Live, the amount, I think what people are forgetting, the pool of people that eBay Live are going to have, because it's not just people who are buying trading cards, it's people buying car parts, if they're buying kitchen equipment, clothing, might get a notification and might check in. So the natural pool of customers on there is going to be next to unbelievable in comparison to the others. So that's going to be a real intriguing one. And to follow it along the line, it's going to be quite a nice one as well to see whether that brings Whatnot into doing other bits, or because they do a lot in the US. I know they do the card shows, but they're good in the UK, but it's not going to bring people to your app, in my personal opinion. It might be wrong to some people, but that's just my personal opinion. I think I could easily go a whole month without even going on Whatnot. Whereas eBay, I would go on there most days because you just don't know what's going to be on there. So obviously that's going to be one to speak about in the long run once these other competitors do come out to Whatnot. And lastly, I want to talk about one thing, and it's always a topic that's always massively debated and talked about within the UK, which is grading. And I want to just talk about PSA, SGC, a little bit CGC, I think it's called now, or whatever they rebranded to. And I find it very intriguing. So I was in an American Discord the other day, and they was talking about PSA specials and how little they actually ever bother even offering to soccer. SGC done a fantastic one the other month, which was any Topps Chrome product, any sport, any year. Fantastic, because that actually applies to men's Chrome, women's Chrome, wrestling back in the day when I used to do Topps Chrome, F1, whatever. But PSA, I know they're the big American company and they're going to keep doing the big American sports because that's what floods their market. But it would not hurt PSA, would it? Do a soccer special or do something for the European market, because at this rate, we send so many cards over there. Are they looking at coming over to Europe? They have said that in the past, that if there's enough demand. We see that from when they was at the London Card Show. There was a lot of demand, people sending off cards. We know how many people submit cards through Subcenter at the London Card Show. But why not do a soccer special? They missed a trick last year for the Women's Euros. For the Women's World Cup. I thought that was such an easy idea when that come out. Oh, yes, that's an easy one. No. And I check it every single month. Okay, they do bulk specials or they do Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Obviously, their market where they're trying to appeal to TCG, they do $13, $14 submissions for TCG. Why not do it for soccer? Show some love for us. We haven't had a soccer only one in years. So that would just be a nice one, personally. Even for the vintage guys out there, why not do a vintage soccer one? Anything predating 1979. Get some of them flown, because they definitely need more of it slabbed up. And it's going to be one of them, like we say, we are a small fish in a big pond in terms of soccer or the UK hobby. It is in a remotely good place still, I would say. I don't think there's anything cause for concern. Like I said, there's new people coming into it every single day. You get the odd person left, but it's always the same faces about. And there's a lot of people as well. I think this is what people forget. There's a lot of people in the UK scene who are not vocal. They're not on Instagram. They're not entering breaks under their name that you may never know that are even in it. Some massive players, I bet. And that's why it's nice just to have these events and get-togethers. I think that's why people always say the night before the card show is normally the best night of it, because you actually are just talking to people. And like I say, we've talking about people. There's a massive few guests lined up for the podcast, which will be coming in a few weeks. So don't worry, we won't have to just part from just my voice coming up. But like I say, it's a very interesting position, and I'd like to talk to a few people. If you've got an idea, if you've got any questions, fire them over or answer them in the next episode with our special guest. And it's one of them that it's finding what you want to collect. Don't listen to what other people say. Don't invest in what other people say. If you want to collect Lamine Yamal, collect Lamine Yamal. If you want to collect Xhaka like myself, collect Xhaka. If you want to go and collect Barcelona Academy players, go and do that. Like, do what you enjoy. And that's how you find and rekindle the love for the hobby, is when you remember, you drag it back down to bare bones and you go, this is what I really enjoy collecting. Collect that, because if you're enjoying yourself in this hobby, there is nothing better. And you'll meet some great people along the way. You might lose some money, you might make some money, but the memories are priceless a lot of the times. And that's what you've got to say in hobby, is just have fun. Whether it's buying, selling, trading, whatever it may be. That's the whole good point of the hobby. Like I say, there's going to be some very interesting topics of conversation in coming up episodes, of really talking to people in their leading part of their industry, of how they're finding it's going, what's the solutions, what problem is. We're going to start revamping the podcast in the next coming months, and it's really going to start tail ending in 2025 of a new look top-loaded podcast. Just going to be a lot more stuff, a lot more information, a lot more content, a lot more special guests. And hopefully next year will be the year we're going to do some more live podcasts as well. But if there's ever any person you want us to try and get on, interview, have a conversation with, it might even be yourself. If you've got something that you feel that you want to get out there, you want to start promoting or something like that, drop me a message, because no doubt we can work something out. I'm always happy to grow the UK hobby. Like I say, please come and say hello on the stream Saturday on Twitch at Dub Breaks. You'll probably see how much better I'm a podcaster, even if I'm good at that, in comparison to being a breaker. I'm normally watching it and not opening the stuff. So do come along, say hello. And like I say, a massive thanks yet again to the guys over at Third Downs UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loaded Podcast. Whether you need card supplies, custom card stands, grade preparation kits, or whatever hobby needs you may require, head over to their website, check out their Instagram, or even head over to their shop. But remember to always use TTP10 at checkout to get 10% off whatever you may need. And until next time, a massive thank you yet again for the absolutely incredible support lately on the podcast. That is what is keeping me going and making me strive to try and make this a better place for people just to talk, hang out, even just listen to, and also open up conversations as well. So a massive thank you, no matter where in the world, because I know I say UK a lot here, but we do have listeners from all corners of the world. And I just want to say a massive thank you wherever you're listening in, tuning in, maybe watching as well. It is muchly appreciated. And like we say, we're in October now. There's not too much longer left of this year. So hopefully it's going to be a big end to the year. And like we say, a massive thank you yet again for taking your time out of your day, afternoon, evening, whatever it may be, to listen to this episode of the Top Load Podcast. So until next week, hope you're buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.